Honestly, straight up, I think motivation is the biggest scam ever. Now, before you start screaming at me, but Amir, isn't this a motivational video? No, it's not a fucking motivational video. I'm just here to tell you something that I've noticed that's a repetitive pattern with a lot of people. I don't know about you, but I've gone to a bunch of conferences. I've gone to 2 Tony Robbins events, and I always look around and I see the same type of people there. And it's the same people who are looking for external gratification, external highs, right? So this is why when people say, I need motivation, they're looking for this outside source to give them validation. They're looking for this outside source to give them love. And they're looking for this outside source as in, yes, I give you my thumbs of approval to go continue what you're doing. And this is why motivation doesn't work. It doesn't work on a psychological level. It doesn't work on the biological level. And it doesn't work on the spiritual level because we are the creatures of habits, right? Motivation is like, man, my best metaphor for motivation is like doing heroin, right? Or doing any type of addictive drug. You get your high, you get your fix, you get your dopamine fix, you get your serotonin fix, however you're biologically wired, and it lasts for a temporary period of time. After that period of time, well, guess what? You're feeding for some more. Like, yo, give me some more motivation. Give me some, you got some Tony Robbins. I got some of these YouTube videos, and you need that fix. And this is why you find yourself in that repetitive habit of always trying to find out, I need some motivation. Oh, guess what? Let me go to fucking Instagram and scroll and read those. I hate those fucking stupid fucking quotes and like, you must do better. Get the fuck out of here. That shit's fucking retarded, man. All that shit is garbage. Garbage. Completely garbage. This is why people don't succeed. And I'm not talking about success just in finances. That's rubbish. I'm talking about success as an individual, success as a human being that loves themselves. So that is, like I mentioned before, health, wealth, and love, right? All combined together. And so the question is like, what do you do, right? If you're that individual who only is looking for that external motivation, I always tell people, well, fuck it, man. Let's sit down. Let's talk to you. Let's figure out what's going on. Obviously, there are some self-love issues. Obviously, the characteristics that you developed, like all characteristics, have originated from when you were a child. Like all the behaviors that we have, who we are, how we behave, how we act, how we see the world originated when we were kids, right? Gabor Mate actually has some interesting take on that, where he states, and even Jungian, if you look at Jungian psychology, it talks a little bit about this, where the traumas that we have or the characteristics that we have are characteristics developed from an early age based on early trauma. Now, trauma in this aspect, some people might view it as a negative connotation. I don't view trauma as a negative. I think it's open-ended. It can be negative, but trauma can also be positive because it's very subjective, right? For you viewing something, it might be traumatic in your cultural context, religious context, and society context. But if I take that same situation that you endured and I overlaid in some other culture, it might be acceptable, right? So this is very subjective towards the individual. Anyways, so we have all these traumas that have created our characteristics, and a lot of people, due to these traumas, they now are looking for validation, acceptance, or looking for love for other people, and they don't know themselves enough. So one of my fucking suggestions for people who are looking for outside motivation is, it's number one. Number one is creating something I like to call the human constitution. I think a lot of people have never done this. I try to do this about, I want to say every quarter because that's a lie. I probably do this twice a year. And so what the human constitution is, for example, the Ameer constitution is same thing like the United States of America has a constitution. With the Ameer constitution, I create a constitution of things that I absolutely stand for and things I will not accept from anybody else. So it could be as like, number one, constitution. No matter what, I create my own hours. No matter what, I have, one date night with my wife. No matter what, XYZ. You create these, you create these non-negotiables and you stand by these non-negotiables, right? And so this exercise is really interesting because it challenges you to really understand yourself better and to understand what you truly respect. It challenges you to figure out, okay, wait a second. If all shit hits the fan, if my startup goes out of business, or if I get fired, whatever the fuck may be, if all else fails, no matter what, this constitution right here remains intact. So there's a lot of thinking to do. right? You can't change your mind on this. So that's number one, focusing on your individual human constitution. Number two, this might not resonate with some people. I'm telling you things that I do, right? I've never been a type of motivational person, but I'll tell you things that have challenged me to think for myself, that have challenged my belief systems, that have made me to really audit and systematize how I think and what I respect. Number two is psychedelics, right? Now, I'm not suggesting any psychedelics for anybody. I'm telling you what worked for me. So I've done many different forms of therapeutic guided psychedelics. And I can tell you personally, and there's a lot of science to back this up. You can look up the MAPS organization, Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Research, run by Rick Dublin. But psychedelics, personally for me, has been exponential, right? Helping me to better understand who I am, helping me to better map and understand the experience I've been through, specifically as a child, helping me to understand why certain emotions arise at a certain time. That one's really important. Super fucking important. And so it's up to you what you want to do when it comes to psychedelic. I'd recommend definitely checking out MAPS. They have very good guidelines. They have scientific approach. And just reach them up. I believe it's maps.org. Look at their organization. They're doing an amazing job, and if you can, support them in every way possible. I think psychedelics are one of the most underrated, powerful modalities that a lot of humans can do to take us from a DOS operating system that we have right now to a more or less integrative, let's say 2.0 human operating system. Because right now we're running on very old school, primitive, Paleolithic I would say software. There's a good saying. This is from E.O. Wilson, a biologist. And so he has a quote. He's like, we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technologies, which is so fucking true. Like, fuck, man, it's so brilliantly well said, right? Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. So that's number two, is looking at psychedelic therapies to really understand yourself. And number three is applicable for every aspect of your life, every aspect. And that is having more experiences in your life. If you look at most people in your life, or if you audit your life, ask yourself how many times you've had real experiences that challenge you as an individual. Not like, oh, I went to the movies or I took a walk. No, man, no fucking way. I'm talking about challenging you. I'm talking about, like, fuck, man, I did rock climbing for the first time. Good. Or I did whitewater rafting. Good. Or I did whatever, something that both A, physically challenges you, B, psychologically challenges you, and C, 3, emotionally challenges you. A lot of reasons why people are looking for external motivation, like I said from the beginning, is because they don't have self-love. One of the reasons why they don't have self-love is they don't have enough experiences in life to have a feedback loop to understand themselves better, because they follow the fucking straight path. Joseph Campbell has a saying, he who thinks he knows doesn't know. He who knows he doesn't know knows. And so most people have been programmed, right, to follow this path of least resistance. But this path has no teachers, right? So there's also another saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so you follow this path, but you have no feedback from your environment. You went to school, went to post-secondary, you got married, yada, 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 yada. And you're like, fuck, man, I'm fucking 40 something. I'm kind of a little bit overweight. I'm fucking depressed. What the fuck is happening? Well, that's exactly what's happening, dude. Dude or gal. You follow the straight path of least resistance, not your path at all. Because the path that you follow is going to be like this, all over the place. So the question is, when you're 40 right now, what to do? Experiences, man. Fucking do experiences. I can't stress enough. The more experiences to challenge you on those 3 points, mentally, physically, emotionally, will really understand yourself better. And finally, number 4, this is applicable to everybody and anybody, no matter who you are, is give back, man. There's Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, one of my favorite fucking bands. I love funk. Their autobiography is really good. And if you know Anthony Kiedis, drug abuse, one of his best friends was Joaquin Phoenix's brother, River Phoenix. He overdosed. So and his dad was one of the biggest drug dealers. Anyways, anytime he got himself in a depressive slump, he tried to do the standard things like motivation and talking to psychiatrists. None of that fucking thing would work. what helped him always was giving back. Showing love to other people, helping people who are in need. And he said that was the number one thing in his tool belt that he used to better himself, to understand himself better, and to connect with himself on a deeper level. Andre Agassi, in his autobiography, Open, has a great saying too. Tennis brought me to my knees. Love picked me up. And one of the greatest things that he did to get him out of the slump was not motivation, not listening to psychiatrists, was getting up and giving love back. And so that's my advice, man. I think motivation, for the most part, is an industry that just sells you smoke and fucking mirrors. It doesn't give you any proper tools to assimilate in you, to take with you, to utilize when needed appropriately. And so forget this motivational shit. Forget all that crap, man. Dig in, do deep work, as Cal Newport talks about deep work, and understand yourself better on such a level that you've never understood yourself before. And I'll leave it at that, guys. If you have any questions for me about this, leave a comment below this video. And oh yeah, make sure to subscribe. Peace.